6:47 a.m. On a Tuesday and my coffee's trembling in my grip, steam curling up through the morning haze like a warning, while out there on the edge of my own backyard, a yellow bulldozer is grinning at me with those steel teeth, tearing straight through the 1923 oak where my granddad once carved his initials, like none of it means a damn thing. You ever hear metal scream? That's what 150 years of blood, sweat, and Texas dirt sounds like when it gets chewed up for somebody else's progress. Diesel fumes sting my throat. My slippers are soaked through with dew. The air, right then, it stinks of crushed family history, no other word for it. And that's when I see her, Vivian Blackwood, HOA president, suburban Caesar, the self-declared queen of Heritage Meadows, perched inside her spotless white BMW like a monarch on parade. She's pointing, giving orders, acting like tearing through private land at the crack of dawn is just good governance. No warning. No consent. Just theft in broad daylight, dressed up as community improvement. But here's where she made her first mistake. Every single drop running through her empire, those 1,200 manicured lawns, infinity pools, marble bathrooms, and hell, even her gold-plated toilet, comes from my aquifer. And it all stops at one valve with my name on it. Yeah, I'm exactly 1/4 turn from drying up 400 estates and launching 1,200 viral meltdowns. Tell me, would you shut off their water? Drop your state below. Let's hear your wildest HOA horror story. You want to know how we got to this standoff? Let me back up a sec. I'm Ezra Thompson. My family's run this ranch since 1870, before HOAs were anything more than a lawyer's fever dream. My great-granddad carved these 400 acres out of raw prairie with little more than guts and a pickaxe. If you ever come by, you can run your hand along the limestone foundation and still feel those chisel marks. Smell the history soaked into every plank. Dad got this land from his old man and me from him. Blue stem grass ripples in the breeze like it's whispering secrets. There's natural springs running so clear they taste like liquid silver. I've got 200 head of longhorn cattle out here, the kind whose bloodlines outdate most European countries. Not just cattle but time machines, living, breathing history. But life has a way of gut-punching you when you least expect. 2 years ago, cancer took my wife Sarah after 43 years together. 18 months of hospital beeps and antiseptic stench and medical bills that have flattened a grown man. I'd have traded everything for one more evening on the porch, watching her brush out her hair as the sun turned our hills to molten gold. Instead, I got Heritage Meadows metastasizing across Johnson's old cotton fields. Suburban sprawl dressed up as rural charm. You know the type. 300 McMansions sprouting overnight, sucking up more water than a small city, all under the slogan Progress. That's when Vivian Blackwood blew in, 52 years old, ambition sharper than her stiletto heels, a city planner from Dallas with every ounce of bureaucratic poison in her veins. Her husband, Bradford, is one of those ambulance chaser lawyers whose billboards litter the interstate like legal litter. Between the two of them, they ruled Heritage Meadows like Stalin, and Eva Peron had a baby and put it in charge of lawn aesthetics. Vivian's power moves were legend. $500 fines for parking in your own driveway. Citations if your mailbox was desert sage instead of government-approved beige. Liens if your roses grew an inch too tall. I ignored it, wasn't my circus, not my monkeys. Until last month when Vivian called a special meeting. That's HOA code for, watch me flex my power. She clicked through a slideshow about regional water infrastructure. Translation. She wanted to jam a pipeline straight through the heart of my land, including the family cemetery where Sarah rests alongside 4 generations of Thompsons. You know what she offered me for an easement? $15,000. My land's worth 10 times that. When I stood up, calm as I could manage, she sneered, said, "This meeting is for homeowners only, Mr. Thompson. Maybe you should wait outside." Rage tasted metallic in my mouth. What she didn't know is sometimes the quietest man in the room is the one with all the aces. 3 days later, I was kneeling beside Sarah's grave, pulling weeds, when a process server smacked me with legal papers. Prairie wind scattered them like confetti. Vivian's ultimatum. Sign over the easement, or lose everything to eminent domain. That's when it hit me. My family left me more than this ranch. Sometimes the ones who stay quiet know when to turn off the tap. Vivian wasted no time. Her husband, Bradford, unleashed his legal war machine, certified letters, thick with law firm letterhead, all threats and deadlines. obstruction of municipal progress, essential infrastructure, 30 days to comply or lose it all. The guy could make ordering a cup of coffee sound like a felony. But here's the secret about lawyers: they love to sound smart, but sometimes they miss what's right under their nose. While Vivian worked the crowd, parking lot gossip, coffee shop whispers, that old rancher's just holding up progress because he needs the money. I did some digging of my own. Williamson County Courthouse, down in the basement, smells like old leather and stubbornness. I spent 3 days there, chasing paper trails and finding the cracks. That's when I stumbled on the real reason for the pipeline. It wasn't about public water. Buried deep in the environmental filings, I found Lanier Aqua Solutions, water bottling company, owned by Marcus Blackwood, Bradford's brother-in-law. This was about siphoning my spring water for profit. Here's what Sarah's fight with the insurance companies taught me. Eminent domain only sticks if there's public benefit. If the real winner is a private company, especially one run by the condemner's family, the whole thing can fall apart in court. That wasn't the only surprise the courthouse had for me. Turns out, when Heritage Meadows was built, their survey was sloppy. Their main access road, the only way in or out, sat on my land. For 70 years they'd been trespassing. I brought in Klaus, a German surveyor who measured property lines like he was defusing bombs. He confirmed it. They never had legal right to that road. I sued for $500,000 in damages and immediate cessation of trespassing. Papers were served to Vivian right on her front porch, in front of her garden club. Klaus saw her face, said it was like someone told her that BMW was actually a rusty old Chevy. That's when the real war began. Vivian, cornered, called in the county health inspector. Anonymous complaints about cattle operations and water quality. The guy showed up sweating through his shirt, nitpicking everything, writing up violations with the joy of an IRS agent at a bake sale. But see, I knew my rights. This ranch has been here longer than any environmental law on the books, and we're protected by the grandfather clause. My water tested cleaner than bottled spring. The HOA's water? Lit up with nitrates and chemicals, fertilizer runoff from their own perfect lawns. At the county meeting, the commissioner practically laughed in Vivian's face, and the investigation turned on her. But she didn't stop, she got personal. Hired a PI to dig up my finances, spread rumors I was bankrupt, organized business boycotts, even sabotaged my cattle gates and fences. Her HOA security caught red-handed on trail cameras. I documented everything. Turns out, property damage by HOA agents voids their eminent domain claim in Texas. Even the bank president who called my loan early, he was Bradford's golf buddy, couldn't stand up to the heat once the state started sniffing around for discriminatory lending. But the biggest twist came late at night, as I was digging through Sarah's old paperwork, hunting for mortgage loopholes. My hand landed on a file marked Uncle Henry Water Company. Turns out my uncle left me full ownership of Clearwater Municipal Utilities, serving 3 counties, including every house in Heritage Meadows. I'd been their water lord for 30 years and never even realized. And the clincher? Their HOA owed me $45,000 in unpaid water bills. The contract said I could cut them off for harassment or illegal activity, with 90 days' notice. I called Jim, the old utility manager, and sure enough, Sarah had quietly kept all this running while I mourned. She was still protecting me from the grave. My lawyer Rebecca Walsh found out the Blackwoods were drowning in debt. This pipeline scam was their last-ditch effort to cash in before bankruptcy. Suddenly, every piece clicked into place. This wasn't about infrastructure. It was about survival. But I had the real power, the water. The next few weeks I built my team. Margaret, retired teacher, Susan Walsh, medical expert, Tom, Vietnam vet and security ace. We organized the community, documented every crime, prepared alternative water deliveries for innocent residents, and lined up the evidence like dominoes. The quiet folks who'd suffered Vivian's wrath came out of the woodwork with stories. Fines for tomato plants, kids' swing sets bulldozed, even a Purple Heart memorial forced down because it violated aesthetic standards. It was a war, but this time the town was with me. Vivian doubled down, bribed inspectors, planted fake drug evidence in my barn. Sheriff Rodriguez's men laughed when the field test turned bright blue for baking soda. Ramped up legal threats. But every step she took just dug her own grave deeper. Even her husband, Bradford, blabbed about legal strategies in a bar, got himself reported to the state bar by a JAG lawyer in Tom's poker group. The final straw? She desecrated Sarah's grave, cracked her headstone, stomped her flowers, left a threat note. That's when even her last supporters turned. I went nuclear, water shutoff notices, lawsuits, media blitz, everything. When she tried to accuse me of holding the community hostage, the courtroom packed out like a championship rodeo. My lawyer dropped the bombshell about my utility ownership. The judge dismissed every one of Vivian's claims, and when Sheriff Rodriguez announced felony charges against her for vandalism and harassment, the place erupted. Cheers, tears, even the cameras couldn't capture it all. Within 2 weeks, Vivian and Bradford were facing federal fraud, lost their mansion, and left Texas for his mother's double-wide in Oklahoma. The HOA dissolved itself. Margaret got elected as the new community head. The pipeline project was dead, and the EPA ordered a cleanup that'll keep lawyers busy for a decade. My ranch mortgage was forgiven once the bank's dirty dealings came to light, and the settlement money went to a foundation in Sarah's name, scholarships for rural kids, water testing, agricultural education. Now my mornings are spent sipping coffee on my porch, watching the land I love stay safe from bulldozers. The air tastes like freedom and Texas spring water. Proof that sometimes David really can beat Goliath. So tell me, what would you have done? Where's the line between progress and justice? Drop your own HOA nightmare below. And if you want more stories of ordinary folks sticking it to the corrupt and coming out on top, smash that subscribe button. Because next week, wait till you hear about the town council that tried to steal my food truck. I ran for mayor and fired every last one of them. In America, justice is still sweeter than Sarah's peach cobbler, and sometimes it flows as pure as Texas spring.